Welcome back to Black City Coffee Vlogs. I'm cupping a coffee, Costa Rican, that I've had. Bear in mind that this is 2+ years old green, but it's my fanciest green that I have, the most expensive one. It's called the Santario Project. It's a yellow honey caturra. It's supposed to be like cherries galore with this green, as I remember just talking about it. 6 roasts to learn the new little forge roaster, the new Kaldi new wide 400, to see if I could roast it. I think I do a pretty good job. If we have a good cupping here and it tastes good, you're gonna see later on in the video how I actually roasted it. Okay, let's get started. This is our Costa Rican. I'm gonna show you how I roasted this, if it tastes good today. We're gonna cup it. Here's our cupping kit. You got a bowl to taste, a bowl for grounds, a bowl for water. You have a kettle that goes straight on the stove. You use the water when it's right off a boil. Cupping spoons, scale, and grinders in the back. We cup 10. We need to flush this grinder before we cup, or else it's gonna just blend in what we previously had grinded, which is like that blend I've been drinking. But if you grind a lot, you'll notice sometimes it has a lot of static, which I'll show you. It's not so bad, but there's a lot of sticking of the grounds and get caught up in here. So a good measure is to some coffee in here and then spray it and introduce moisture to dissipate the static. And you'll see that the grounds will fall a lot, freer and stick less. 10 here, that's what we're gonna taste. Okay. I think the grinder needs some alignment. There's some inconsistencies, but it's still pretty good. Ooh. Okay, so it's raisin bread, candied orange, chocolate, milk chocolate, cocoa, and some graham kind of flavor, graham cracker or something like that. We have let this coffee rest for a solid 3 days. I didn't accelerate it or anything, so nice. Okay, let's start brewing water and we'll come back. Okay. All right, 4 minutes on the timer when the water comes back, and we'll see if the roasting curve equates to what we're tasting. That way, if we need to adjust our roast, we're basing it off data and how we can adjust that later. A little tipping. Can you taste tipping? I would assume it might taste like, a roasty flavor, but we'll see. I think most people can't really taste tipping. I used to tip my coffee all the time and nobody cared. So it still tasted good. So we're ready. It's nice to have a big mouth to mix all the grounds correctly as you pour in the water. And then here's our rinse. Okay, that's it. Okay, stop. Cool. Now we break the crust. Okay. As always, it doesn't give me much but grape nuts. Okay. Wow, we're properly cupping now. Okay, wow, a lot of oils present that I can see, which is interesting. The grinder definitely needs a tune-up. There's some inconsistency, but grind level for cuppings was medium, whatever medium is on your grinder. When I was at Clutch, it looked way bigger than what I was doing with my fellow one grinder. which I gave to my dad. So what we can do is clear the timer, start it again, come back when this is properly cooled. And I like to come back, 8 minutes plus, 12 minutes, 14, like that, to really taste what's going on in here. So let's let it go for that long, and we'll come back. It's been 10 minutes. Let's try it. Yo! Back. We're back. Okay. Sweet and bright at the same time. Now, if you don't have words to describe like me right now, certainly out of practice, I'm looking for balance, not I'm looking for balance in this cup. And there's, I think, 2 ways you can cup. You can be like a championship cupper that you're trying to sell. And what's the goal? What's the goal of the cupping? Here at home, as a home roaster, you're just like, is it the cup that I want to drink and that I want to share with friends and da-da-da-da? And if you're so keen and you're buying expensive green or unique green or green that, says certain things about its tasting notes, are you even getting that as you roast it? And if not, like, what are you gonna do to get that, right? Because you're paying for it. So on the front of the palate and in the middle of the palate, there's a lot of brightness that is grounded, so balanced, with like a caramelly, chocolatey sweetness. And that, I think, I can contribute to the end of the roast, the development part of the roast, the tipping. Yes, there is a bit of roastiness in there, and that I did roast it hot and fast. But to me, if I'm trying to balance the taste of this cup, acidity and sweetness, I think that's okay, right? So when we look at a roast, we're not just looking for a perfect graft or a perfect looking bean. All of the flaws and like inconsistencies, even, if they're accidental or on purpose, sometimes it can still lead to a really good tasting cup. And that's the whole point, I think, of home roasting, is like experimenting, finding these accidental happy cups. And because I'm a home roaster and I don't really care too much about like repeatability, because you could definitely do that. I think AI is going to take it to that level of like, let's just do this roast the same each time. Why not? We're just selling it to customer, whatever, a customer X, and that's what they want. They want consistency. But at home, that's where you get to play and have fun and introduce art into the science of coffee, which I think that's what makes it super fun. And that's why we have our passionate, community of home roasters. I don't have a lot to compare it to. I feel very out of practice with that in terms of like what I used to produce in the past. I kind of like don't remember. But to me, it's bright, which I love. That's what I want. I want something very juicy. And then I still want it to be a balanced, have a nice mouthfeel. I don't want it tasting like tea. I have that, here in these underdeveloped roasts. I still want it to feel very like heavy in the mouth. And there is some tiny bit of oils present on this light roast. I think that's because of going hot and fast, right? So I think it's a balanced cup. I really like it. It's very juicy, but it's also very sweet. I mean, the brightest is like a bright red fruit. And then it's gone very quickly, replaced by an oily sweetness that's more dark chocolate. And graham cracker. And I think graham cracker is the taste of old.
Oh.
It's an old coffee. Another thing with cupping, as it cools, if it starts to lose its sort of like flavor, which I feel it's going towards that way, we can attribute that to it's an old green, 2 years plus. I don't even know how long it took to get into the States from Costa Rica. Typically not as long as like say an African coffee, but still. when it's hot, it tastes really good. Not hot, but like the 9-minute mark, I thought it was really good. A good balance in the cup. I think it masked the oldness of the cup. And that's, can't do anything about that, this old green. But I'm not gonna waste it. Now that it's cooling down, you're tasting more of the coffee because temperature masks flavor, but it's not masking any of my flaws, the flaws of this roast, which is, one, the flaw that we can't help is just being old, and two, the roastiness of the tipping perhaps of the coffee and going a little too hot and fast because it was a small batch, 200 grams, 250 grams rather. Maybe just, you know, hitting the beans a little too hot, even though I'm practicing good practices on the roast. So I think kind of going back to maybe a 300-gram roast, I think would be a sweet spot for me in the style of roasting that I like to do, which is hot, right? Kind of like to run hotter than not. And we seem to hit first crack around 390, so closer to 400. So I'd rather not hit that too late, but we'll keep playing with it. We're still under 10 roasts with this roaster. And again, we always have to consider that we have old green that we're working with and how that affects the roast. But in terms of drinking at home, sharing with friends, these are things they're not really going to detect and care about. But it is interesting, you know. This one's just for me. Okay, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. If you want to learn how to see how I roasted this, not how to roast this, but if you want to see how I roasted it, keep watching the video. Hey, this is backwards. And off. Soak. Soak for a minute. We're going to come back on pretty much full power. Okay. Here's our soak. Turning point 104, 231. Looking good. Now, the goal with this coffee, it's Costa Rican natural. I'm going to go super bright, hot and fast. Now with a smaller batch size, my moves are going to make even a bigger effect on the coffee. So that's something I got to remember. Coming down the heat a little bit more. In terms of control, I'm just trying to drive down this hill as steadily as possible. Right? Imagine you're trying to drive down a hill. It's very, you can make the hill very steep by having a lot of flame up front, or you can make the hill very shallow by having not so much flame up front. Flame or fuel. So I said I was going to go hot and fast with this coffee, which that's definitely what I did. We had an earlier dry end. And we're getting some outliers right now. I'm going to turn the heat down a smidge, because it's still going to climb up anyway. I'm already at 377. So I think this crappy coffee cracks at 380. There's still outliers though. I'm waiting for a consistent pop, and then I'll call it first crack. Let it go. I'm increasing the air to about 2.5. All right. I'm calling that first crack. We're going to go to 3. Now, before I touch the gas, I want to see what that air adjustment does. I'm going to go hot and fast, so I don't want to plummet my ROR too much. I'm going to let this crack be aggressive and loud for at least a minute before I adjust the gas. And I'm doing this because I want a really bright coffee. I want to really hit all those top notes of this coffee. And so cool. My patience going to 3 on the air. You know, I was creeping up on the ROR, but I want to see what that air adjustment did, and it did in fact decrease my ROR, so I'm cool. I didn't have to make an adjustment on the gas. Alright, let's take a look. That looks pretty good. I don't want to develop it too much. And that's my drop. Crank that up. Oh, I forgot my other glove. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. There you go. Made it. Yeah, that looks good. Little tipping. Here we went hot and fast. Okay, let's go off. I forget. Clean this up. Okay, let's take a look here. All right, off. I'll show you what we got. Yes. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, this looks similar to what I used to do on the Mill City Roaster. So we got first phase 4 minutes 28, 353. Middle phase, it's shorter, right? I want to tighten it up because I want more acidity in the cup, as from what I remember doing before. And then just a less than 2 minute development again to keep it bright, which is what I used to do. There's a little bean in there here. All right, that's really good. And we gradually went down, nothing too crazy. Okay, good. So reset. Here's the coffee, nice and cool. We're done with that already. Put it back to 2. And we're off. And there's the chaff that was collected. Oops. All right, so here's the coffee. Cold. Super cold. I love that. And you can see it's still pretty craggly. It's a perfect light roast. I think this is going to be great. So we'll wait a proper 3 days and we'll cup it. And I'll put that in this video. Thanks for watching. See you later.